you just go by Blakk? Is that the way you like to be?
When I'm on stage, I've been back and forth with that because I've only been Blakk for. Well, it started as another thing, then it's turned off into Blakk because it was easier, and it had other stars. But
Where can they find you? Like when they look you up?
uh, on IG, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook.
But is it Blakk or is it?
It's Blakk.
It's Blakk.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah.
So we got Blakk. You do it all too. You're multi-talented, from spoken word to rapping. Like you probably do comedy too, and blow us all out of the fucking water.
Probably not blow you out of the water, but yeah, man, I do want to write comedy. That's something I want to do because I just love to write. I enjoy. I started as like therapy, my way of just getting things out and making sense of things because I just used to be closed off.
Yeah,
I was just the middle kid, the loner, and I just stayed to myself and I just bottled a lot of things up, held things in. So writing helped with that, and I ended up really enjoying it and getting really good at it because I started with obviously writing songs because it was through music. It was my entry to. Like I heard things like Dr. Seuss and like Shel Silverstein and those other poets, but I started actually writing was because of music, and then I started finding out these other forms of writing. I was just like, oh.
Yeah. I think spoken word, like true, like I'm not talking about the coffee shop poetry that you find a bunch of hipster white people at. Like when I tell people like about open, like word up, some open mic, I'm like I say there's some spoken word. It's like spoken word mixed comedy music, and people are like, oh, it's a poetry place. It's like, hold up. You ain't getting a shot of an espresso and some whack ass poem out here. I was like, you're gonna get a shot of Hennessy and they're gonna fucking spit bars that you aren't gonna believe. Like you don't even know. This is where like where the talent is at in St. Louis, and they're like, for real? It's like, yeah, you gotta come out, but half of them never do just because it's out of their realm.
I mean, I understand. I get that, but yeah, people have this aversion to poetry, and that's. Most of them, I guess, they just haven't been introduced to it properly, or they just they have their own idea already. Cynthia. Because people do have that reaction. They're like, "Is it like poetry?" I'm like, "No, it's everything. Like you just got to come see." But yeah, people think that it's gonna be just, I guess, straight poetry.
Some hacky shit. Yeah, I know. That's like when I first heard about it, I was like, and then when I got there and I seen. Like I met Lewis and Energy and was like, and then you and seeing that you guys are all like, I was like, oh, this is where all the talent is really at. This is where the true people of St. Louis, like, because that's where you're gonna find Reggie at the end of the night. That's where you're gonna find Tommy. That's where you're gonna find Marquise and a lot of the actual like the guys that are out there on the grind but are talented. Is all of them like and there's this when I found that like that's why I'm so shocked it never like I think during COVID a lot of the other guys came out to word up because they were still going and I remember they didn't handle themselves as the best like some of them but I don't know so do you how often do you like perform are you doing any shows with like Tiffany and
not yet. I haven't really been performing much except for like open mics. I've been doing I've been doing gigs here and there, but nothing consistent. I'm working on that. I'm getting myself together for that because I'm still fresh to.
Still polishing it all up.
Well, no, mostly still learning the business side of things. But like how to actually do the venues, do all the behind the scenes stuff. Still in the process of learning how to actually put together shows and put out flyers and all that stuff. So.
The putting on shows is a lot of people think it's easy, like because like when I first did it, like I did it and it was like see that's I work a job. Me and my wife both work pretty decent jobs. We don't have kids, so like I've had some money to put towards it, but I went to school for economics, civics, business. Basically, I've always been into like I wanted to be on Wall Street originally. Is what I went to college for. I thought I was gonna go down there and be like the Wolf of Wall Street. But this was before the Wolf of Wall Street came out and shit. I just wanted the only person in my family that had any money is my uncle. Everybody else poor. My uncle though, he was like VP of Samsung Electronics Eastern Division or some shit, and was all in the market. Like he gave himself a heart attack in '89 when the market crashed because he had so much money tied up in it. But he learned, and I was like, I want to do whatever Uncle Mickey does. Like, whatever he does, I want to do. Like, well, his money's just in the market. And then I learned about that, and I was like, oh, shit, so you just need money to make money, and make your money. And then I got into it and started learning it, and I was like, oh, this is a game. I dropped out after my third year or into my third year. I was like, this is all a bullshit. This is all a game. Like, and you ain't in unless you're in, and you're never gonna be in. Like, no one like me will ever get in. Like, it's a
you're not in unless you're already in.
yeah. There's the quote that takes it the best, that says it the best, was George Carlin. It gets used a lot and beat up a lot, but it's a big. I mean, it's a club and you're not in it. It's a big club and you're just not in it, and we're not in it. Like what he's talking about is the politicians and all the elite. It's like when you get there, like we seen it firsthand with the what do they call themselves? The apes off of Reddit. GameStop.
I'm not super hip on Reddit. Like I hear about Reddit,
Me
but
neither.
I've never actually been to Reddit.
I got it. The only reason I know about it is because like when I first started the podcast a year and a half, 2 years ago, I had Mike Ratcliffe on, and I usually ask people, you know, what's their favorite conspiracy or the most one they've been into lately. And Mike told me about the GameStop shit that was going on with the Wall Street bets. So I was like, I'm automatically into it because he doesn't even know I'm into stocks and like really pays attention to, like, for a hippie dreadhead construction worker, you'd be fascinated by how much I could talk to you about the markets and the actual workings of the markets and like how to trade, what to trade, all that shit. And I'm not talking about just because I memorized the Robinhood app shit that they try to give you. Like that was what I went to school for. So I really understand a lot of that language of shit that's going on and why things are. And I mean, it's all manipulated, all of it. I mean, you look, I want to do a sketch about if everything else priced like gas, like oil companies get to price gouge their shit, you know? Because like during COVID, perfect example of how it's manipulated and they just let motherfuckers off is the gas prices. Okay, that goes off of a barrel of oil cost. Barrel of oil dropped below almost to a penny a barrel, all right? Gas never fell below a buck, never fell below a buck during COVID. Like, it never broke under $1. Now, before all that, a barrel of gas was $70 average before COVID broke the economy and shut everything down. It was sitting at about $2.50 when it was at $68. It dropped to a penny damn near a barrel. And it didn't drop below $1 a gallon on the fucking gas that was manipulated. They can price gouge. OPEC is what they're called. Like, people blame a lot of shit on the presidency, like Biden, but the gas, but he ain't got nothing to do with it. He does. He can go suck the right dick and get the fucking shit done. Like, he could. Like, but the Saudi, they don't like us. They don't like us, really. They don't like Democrats. They don't like the Republic. I mean, yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't think they like the Democrats, so I don't know. But because it's easy for them to keep it low. But yeah, I realized that all that money shit was fun. But that's what I got into with the show shit, with like you said, the business end. I really got into that. So I made sure to make money off of my show. Like, if you're not turning no profit, it's really not worth it. Basically, if you're putting on shows just to perform and you're spending money at the place, you're basically buying your time. And I'm fine with that if I could do it at a club. I'll throw a motherfucker. I've done it before. Like, I've been like, shit, let me get a spot, make sure I'm on the list, you know, because it fills up quick. I'm like, I'll throw you $20. All right, most of these comedians out here don't work real jobs, so they need the $20. I need the time and the spot because I've already driven all the way the fuck out there.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah.
But so how long have you been with the Word Up shit?
This is my second year with Word Up.
Second year?
Yeah, I started on last year. Energy brought me on to help assist with the production.
And how did you guys all meet?
I met through the open mic. Before Steve, apparently I know it moved. Word Up has moved around a lot over the years. I first went to it when it was at Smoke Sessions over off. Is that Dunn Road? I believe it's over there off Dunn Road. But
All them roads out there, I don't even know.
man,
You know,
right.
I understand why
But
motherfuckers get like the arch and then the numbers, like the street, their tattoos. I'm like, I know, I get it now. Like y'all worried about you gonna get lost. Where the fuck do I live at? I get it. You know,
like the
but
address, oh man, yeah, it's the streets. But then after that, I followed them over to there. I started out the first open mic I actually went to was lyrical therapy. That's why I started out at. And
did energy take over from like Precious at one time? Did Precious not
Precious.
Precious? Fuck, Tommy's old the old lady.
Oh no, Word Up has always been energy. Like
Always
that's her
been
thing.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought somebody who was it? Not Precious J or whatever.
But
Damn, why am I? She's slipping.
man,
She's been blowing up as a comedian. She's a comic. Tommy's old baby
don't
mama. Tommy
know
Dangerfield.
I mean, I know Tommy. I just know everybody like who's there. Like I don't really know.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I was talking about to myself the other day, like how, like honestly, most people that I know, I've only known them since I started doing this. Like so, I've been doing this going on like 4 years, going on 4 years now. And so most people I know now I didn't know before these 4 years, and still even then I don't really know people. Like I see people at events. Like
Yeah.
it's a couple.
Did you grow
people
up? Did you grow up here in St. Louis?
Yeah, I grew up here in St. Louis. Lived here all my life. I just always, like I said, I kept to myself a lot. So it was like I was mostly out elsewhere. I was always traveling and not really like traveling, but just not outside of the city. I'll just be going around Missouri, going down to Springfield, going to Lake St. Louis, like places. So I wasn't like really, because it really was ever I was working out in St. Charles and Cottleville area for a long time.
Yeah.
And then so after stuff happened, and I'm like, I want to be closer to the city because that's when I'm like, I got to go to open mics. I always talked myself out of it for a long time. I went like one time 5 years before I actually started going, and then there was that one time, and then I never went back. Kept making excuses. Finally got to a point where I'm like, look, I got to go because I keep writing. Writing is what I'm going to keep doing. I enjoy doing this. So I got to figure out how and what to do with this because I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I started going to the open mics, and after the first one, I'm like, okay, no, yeah, this is because it was so. I remember it being so bad. I was like shaking. I saw my phone. I couldn't barely read it. It was like stumbling over words. It was horrible. I'm just like, and I'm seeing
everybody else. It's basically his first time.
I was trash. Like, and then I saw everybody else. It just happened to be, it was the last lyrical therapy of the year, and so it was free. And there was a lot of people who were like the heavy hitters, but I didn't know them because this was my first night out.
Yeah.
But since it was free, they was all out, and so that's what I saw coming in. I saw all of them just killing it. And I'm just like, okay, if this is what I'm finna do, I need to be back here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, time to start putting in reps. And because I didn't even know any of my stuff before I started actually speaking. Like I've always written forever, but I've actually never memorized or known anything that I like just used to write them and stash them. Write them and don't look at them, write them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I write a lot. Like especially when I first started doing comedy, like a few years before I started doing comedy, I was writing because my buddy John Maddie, he's a comedian and he's been at it for like 8 years. He's pretty good. So I was writing because I was always jealous of that because when I was a kid, I grew up on stand-up comedy. My pops always would have Def Comedy Jam on. Like he had all the old school Def Comedy Jam and like the Apollos. He had the like box sets of those on VHS from when he recorded. I grew up on that. Like I grew up on the shit with them booing your ass off if you sucked. You know, like, this is the Apollo motherfucker. Like I grew up on that, and just like an HBO special, like seeing. What really put me over the edge was like Jamie Foxx is probably one of my favorite comedians. Like he's released a few specials, like 3 or 4, but like I know 3 for sure that were just like mint. Like when he was talking about that shit with LL Cool J on Any Given Sunday, that special where he's talking about how big LL Cool J's head is while he's licking his lips in the locker room during the locker room scene of that football movie. And then like his other two that he had where he was talking about being in Africa and shit. Or the one he was talking about punching Mike Tyson out at the club.
I don't think I've seen any of Jamie Foxx's stand-ups.
Yeah, he's like so talented, and a lot of people don't even think of him as a stand-up comedian because they don't know him as that. They know him as like they don't know Jamie. You so
Jamie
crazy,
dope.
like yeah,
he's
like,
very multi-dimensional, and people don't like. They didn't take him seriously as a music artist either. Like
right when he was doing like the In Love and Cousin, the Jamie Foxx show. Yeah,
both. Like he can sing and he can act. Like he.
Do you know who made him actually find his sound? Like I watched this documentary or sometime. It was Kanye West pulled him in at a party that they had.
Watching that documentary. Right now.
Yeah, there was just like he told him, he's like, you need to stop all that stupid shit because he was doing all the Michael Jackson shit or whatever, the pop shit and all the like the new school way. He's like, no, sing it right, sing it right. And then he did the I think the Ray Charles shit. Gold Digger. Yep. And from there on, now he's like, everyone thinks of him as a singer and an actor. I was like, no, he's an actor, yeah, but he's a comedian. Like he's a comic. That was his. Yeah. That was his.
See, back then though, it was really hard to be more than one thing. Like growing up, like whether it was a musician or kind of like or an actor. Like if you were acting and if you tried to do music, people look at you like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like people wanted you to like do this one thing, and so like I do like that nowadays. People embrace that multifaceted.
Yeah.
Like, because we do more than one thing. Like,
like T.I.'s are supposedly starting comedy.
I saw that, and I'm just like,
I want to see it, but like, I guess he's already pissed off one bigger comic because he went on before. Like, he went in, like the closer. I forget who the closer was. I forget who the comic was. I don't think it was T.J. Kirkland. Or Ari. It might have been Ari. One of them, but like he was closing out the show, and then. He does headline because he's the headliner, names on the marquee, and then T.I. comes in after he shuts down and basically closes and wants to do some time right after him. He's like, it's like, that's not the way it goes, I guess. I don't know. And he didn't ask him or nothing about getting on the stage and doing time. I was like,
that sounds like T.I. though. So.
Yeah. But I'm sure T.I. is going to, he's always kept it like cool and never been like, he's always been pretty real. You never catch
like
him.
Naturally funny. Yeah. Like he's just silly.
And he's always kept it real, so I can only see him respecting the game of it and like actually putting in the real work. It's just going to be a lot harder for him because he's already got a big name. So he'll sell out comedy venues. People are going to come to see him. It's like Charlie Murphy, Eddie Murphy's younger brother. Eddie Murphy had already been famous, and Charlie Murphy had already gotten kind of semi-famous with Dave Chappelle before he started doing stand-up. And he would start, since everybody knew him, they'd see Charlie Murphy, and he was selling out shows on his like open mic shit, like testing out stuff. And like he had to really bring it because, everyone's expecting it. And he really put in the work. But Charlie Murphy was just a naturally funny motherfucker.
Yeah,
like when it comes... what was great, Delirious and all that, great. Yes, Eddie was a legend, but you don't see it like Charlie Murphy, just his storytelling.
I do love his Charlie's storytelling. And see, I haven't gotten into comedy late. Like I didn't really get into comedy until like I was probably like 25, 26. And my introduction was like Louis C.K., Patrice O'Neal. I mean, like I knew of people like Richard Pryor and stuff, but I never really like watched stand-ups. And like I knew like the Cable Guy people and Just Foxworthy and all that stuff. Yeah. But I never actually sat down and like watched comedy till one of my homies at the time like put me on. I was like, oh, okay, some of the stuff is funny, and I started like to watch more and more. I was like,
the best. I think the greatest thing about it is I think it was
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr, He's a legend. I think he's like he'll go down legend status because of ranting, like a rant comic. Like
he will go.
He's great. Like his podcast too. He's got Bill Burr in the morning or whatever, and he just goes.
I need to get Dave Chappelle podcast. I'm broke.
I haven't. Yeah, you gotta buy that. He hasn't done.
Rightfully so though. Well,
that's got who's that?
Most Def.
And
he dope.
Dude, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is my favorite.
Because he's also a dope actor, musician.
Yeah, like in his rap, I really am into that lyrical, complex, technical shit like he does. Like you have to listen to his shit a few times, and almost every time you listen to some of his shit,
Find new stuff.
you hear some new shit, and you're like, oh my god, that is like the coldest, deepest shit I've
man,
ever heard.
I love artists like that, like Lupe and Earl Sweatshirt. Like made me do that. I always, every time I would re-listen to them, like finding new lines and new words. Like, yeah, that density, that depth, I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's like my buddy Antonio. This guy, he raps and he's like on a label and tours and shit with his. He's got a. They're like heavy, not metal, and he's a rapper and he grew up. His dad and at first it was H Thugsy because his name's Howard, but now it's Chingy. I don't know if you knew that, but his dad used to be like one of his old rap members and shit. So Antonio has been around rap and he's always had flow. Really can. He's got a solo album to where it's just hip hop and rap, and then he's got that rock shit. And I didn't know about the rock shit at first because it's all Ice-T couldn't do it. But the people he's been doing it with, these little long-haired metalhead motherfuckers, like they've been doing it together since high school. So they've figured it out to where it doesn't sound like a bunch of noise and it all mixes and flows real well. They figured out how to really put it down, and they got signed, and they went like that Warped Tour and Vans. They just got back from tour. They'll like sell out the fucking pops and shit. It's usually really good. They're them and Dub Flow and all of those guys.
That's what's up, man. Great for them.
That's what you got to get on with them boys, because that's where the lyrics, man. Like there's not many. There's not real lyricalists out there anymore.
I mean, there's some here in St. Louis, like, but yeah, like out there, like, yeah, with the way music is digested now has been weird because it's so much out there, and it's hard to even tell what's new and old because what is time, right?
Dude, yeah, that's
so
why.
Like, it's all just crunched now, so it's just like
it gets quicker and quicker. It feels like.
Mm-hmm. So like when I do find things I like, I'm able to like focus in on those. But there are a few artists out there that like I found that I really enjoy, like because like Mick Jenkins, he's also dope. Like the way some people rhyme schemes and the way they just put words and even the themes together is. You can tell that they care.
Who's your like go-to like artist you gonna listen to?
Currently. Yeah, I would say probably Mick, Earl Sweatshirt.
I always do this with the artists because you guys got the lowdown on all the hot shit.
I'm telling you, Earl Sweatshirt, Mick Jenkins, and Just Rich. I really fuck with his projects too. He's definitely on my.
Yeah. I always get a fucking list full when my buddies like Dub and Gorilla J come over because they know all like the new rappers and shit that come up. I find some on my own. That's my favorite thing to do is to come across the new artist that's just like
Coda.
Yeah. Who was it that really made it? His name, Saint something. He's like a kind of rap, but he's not. Man. So he's gotten big because he just did Colors on YouTube. There's this Colors Music X, and it brings
Joey Badass. Did he do one recently?
I think so.
No, but he's like,
but there's this dude. His is red. I know that. Like, because every time it's a different color background, and they just standing around like this $10,000 microphone that's hanging there, and they sit there and they basically do their music, and not many Americans get on there. I think Common's been on there.
I was like, Smino was on there.
Smino, he's from St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's who it was. That was like I watched and I was like, holy shit, he's from St. Louis and shit. I was like,
yeah, he dope too.
Yeah,
like man, it's so many.
It's people just sleeping on the Midwest comedy.
And never
real
even
bad.
know, yeah, man. Because the comics, I've seen the comics out here, the ones who put in work. Like people, like they go, and it is. Yeah, people are sleeping on all the talent here. And I mean, I didn't know it existed until I actually got in. It's like one of those things you don't know where to find it because it's.
I was so happy to find like Word Up's one of my favorite ones. Like I don't ever I don't even go to the Funny Bone on Tuesdays. Like they got it on Wednesdays now too, so I'll sign up for that one. But I'm not doing it just because Word Up is always better. And people always were asking me for the longest time when they only did it on Tuesday, like, why don't you ever go to the Funny Bone? I was like, why would I go there? Like, they don't have half the crowd that Word Up brings for one. And I was like, that crowd is so much, but like, if your joke sucks, you're going to know. It's like these people aren't faking it. Like for people at that crowd at the Funny Bone, you get sympathy laughs and shit. If anyone's there, I was like, I want to be able to test my jokes and shit. Because I always try to do something new. Unless I get really high or I'm really tired. Unless it's like 10 o'clock at night. I've been working since 5, 6 in the morning. And I'll just get up there and say my shit. And be like, all right,
they will get quiet. I've seen them just stare at comics. So, like, yeah. And that's good. I mean, because, people need to know when they're not funny.
And what's so great is the crowd's so different every time. Like, there's sometimes I've tried material and it murder one night. Couple weeks later, it's a like completely different crowd, and they just like silent chirps. It's like, oh shit, I need to learn how to change up my shit and read this crowd a little better.
Reading the crowd, man. Doing open mic at bars have helped me with that because I'm like, they're not here to hear poetry. It's a Wednesday night. They're here to drink beer, and I just happen to be here doing poetry. So how do I get them interested? How do I make them listen?
Yeah, that's the bars are the good one to. I guess that's like training ground. That's like earning your stripes, I guess. Like I have a little trick on that for comedy. Is like I just say my one-liners real short, offensive as fuck. Like
that's how
where it's like I'll hit them with an abortion joke or a pedophile joke real quick, and they'll be like, everyone, he'd be like, did he just say that? And it's like, and then once I got their attention, I'll hit them with something I know is like guaranteed funny. A couple of them funny one-liners, and then once I got their attention, they'll actually listen to me. Gary Becker had an open mic at this one bar that was like every night it had the same locals and shit that were just there to drink. It wasn't a nice place. It was like this little hole in the wall bar that Gary lived above, and like the room that was above there or the storage room upstairs, I don't know. But it was a cool little mic once, like, because people at first it was out on the corner by the bar, like outside and shit. And then they moved it indoors, but
outside open mic.
Yeah, it was. You cut your teeth on that. That was some of those nights there. It was bad, and everyone was hammered, like so drunk every night. Those crowds suck. I really
Sounds
don't
like it.
Yeah, the drunk ones. I've never been booed off by anybody but a drunk crowd. Like one, and it wasn't a crowd, it was just one table. But I can honestly say I've been booed, like told to shut up, get off the stage, not too long ago. I was like, damn, but they were these Southern good old type that they didn't like abortion jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't. That table, they were real drunk too. So have you had to deal with a heckler yet?
I have. Yeah, I did have to deal with a heckler once. I think it was Lyles.
Yo, he is, dude. I saw him. He did an open mic one night out there in where Tonario was running one. Where was it? It was right across the street. There was an Emos and the owner. And you walk up in there, and there's like usually some dude that's like, I'm not fucking with them and shit, you know, and rolling up a blunt. And then they like had a food section. There was like a room with a pool table, and then there was a.
I think I know where you. Old Fair Palace.
So yeah. There it was cool ass little spot, you know. Once it got late,
the food there is really good too. The chicken, man.
The lady would like. I tried to get a 7-7. She didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I was like, that must be a white people drink. And she's like, yeah, because I've never heard of it. I was like, 7-Up and Seagram 7. But she just gave me like a cup of straight Seagrams. That's all. She just gave me like a double shot of Seagrams. I thought that's what she wanted.
I learned that, I've never heard of that drink before I was around white people because it's this lady that I knew. And like she would always order 7 and 7. I didn't even know Seagrams made a whatever Seagram 7 is before. I just knew them for gin. So when I saw that, I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah, that's my shit. Like get that with a lime, like squeeze the juice in there with a nice one. Oh, it's good. Especially if I got a Jameson. I prefer Jameson over the whatchamacallit.
Yeah, when I drink whiskey, I like Jameson. I used to like Irish whiskeys.
Yeah, Jameson's where it's at, but I would always get the fancy bottles and shit.
Oh man, I do not. Man, I remember when I used to just drink dark heavy. It's not that I don't like. I guess because your taste buds and stuff change every so often. I try not to drink much. Mostly, I feel like I only do it at work.
Yeah,
I got really good drinks, and it's perks. It's at work. Thankfully, I love where I work, which is rare.
Where are you working at?
I work at the Lucky Accomplice. Like this is the first. I've liked jobs, but this is definitely the best job I've had. It's a restaurant.
Okay. I worked restaurants for a long time. Like I lived on the beach and I did construction at night, and then restaurants during. Construction during the day, restaurants at night, because that was a way to get a free meal. Like, because you get a free employee meal and then a free employee drink, and then you could take a drink home, which a closed beer.
Hey,
that was
nice.
how they were on the beach. So I was like, cool.
Right.
I'd work there every night. I'd get like the biggest sandwich thing they made, a Philly cheesesteak thing. So I would eat half it. And it was expensive to live out there.
Man,
For a room about a quarter size of this, like just that corner over there was $450. So me and a buddy split it. This was when I was like 17.
I went to Cali once. That was the first place I went when I left St. Louis. It was actually through boot camp. I did the Navy Reserves because I thought they was gonna pay for my school and send me to Japan for free, and none of that happened because they was trash. But it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good experience. It did get me out of St. Louis. It opened me up, and I got to see.
You were born here and shit?
Mm-hmm.
So had you seen the ocean and fucked with the ocean before then?
Nah.
Yeah, what'd you think of that?
I love water.
I'm a big water fan. I'm a surfer guy.
I'm not great at swimming. Like I can swim. I can't tread. So if I get tired, then I'm probably done.
No. The trick with that is just keep air in your lungs. You don't even got to be holding your breath. You just got to keep air in your lungs in salt water. You're much more buoyant in salt water than you are a freshwater lake or pool. You like sink straight to the bottom with them. But salt water, you're so much more buoyant that you just keep air and you won't go down if you just relax. I know that's what kills everybody. It's not like people don't drown. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I used to watch those dudes. Like my father. My real dad, my biological dad, he like lost his arm in the Coast Guard. He was by a Pope propeller out in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay and shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and as the Navy. So did you went through Norfolk then, didn't you, in the Navy?
No, I went through Great Lakes in Illinois.
No. I mean, like they didn't never deploy you and make you go to the Norfolk military base in Virginia.
No, we never got.
Oh damn.
We didn't get along. Like we didn't. That's why I didn't never go anywhere. Like. But they always send me to Belton, Kansas City, which is like, Belton is right outside Kansas City, but
it's crazy that they've got so much here. Navy has so much inland.
I've never been on a boat, never been on a sub. I didn't do shit, but
damn.
Going on the weekends and
see my stepdad.
My 2 weeks.
And my dad, he was Army, and then back then, like my stepdad went. He was like the 70s and 80s when he went. He was born here, and he left here. And joined the Army, and then got off the Army and went right into the Navy. Mm-hmm. Motherfucker couldn't swim. I learned this until I was like 19. I didn't realize it until I was like 19. And when I realized, I was like, wait, you can't swim? Then why the fuck did you join the Navy, bro? He's like, and how am I just now finding out you didn't swim? You can't swim. I was like, I always thought you could swim because you were in the Navy. He's like, black people don't learn how to swim. I was like, I was like, bullshit. Antonio can swim. Like, Montel can swim. Terrence can swim. Nikki can swim. I was like, all of us can swim. That's some bullshit. That's a cop out, Pop.
It is. That is. Yeah. I'm gonna learn. Like, I'm gonna take the time because I want to. I love water. Like, I want to go. I just like being. It's calming, man.
Yeah, on the beach it is, but like the water scared the piss out of me. Like people that don't realize what that ocean is.
Oh yeah, like, I almost drowned 3 years in a row. Like one time each summer.
He's like 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I'm just like, man. I keep on. I take my one chance. I'm just like, if this is it, well, this is it. Because I want to try to do it. Like I remember, I went to some rift out, not Jefferson Barracks, but something like that, and they was jumping off of this cliff and they was out of life jackets. I'm just like, man, you know, but I want to do it. And so
See, and that would have been all over the news. Brother goes down to the fucking to the creek, and then
I did it.
You would have died, and then people would have been like, "It's a hate crime." I'm telling you.
I was there with a friend at the time, and she was actually a certified lifeguard. So I'm just like, all right, so.
Did she have to like pull you out?
She helped me get to like where I can like handle it myself. I'm just like, I'm trusting you. I'm like,
yeah, I've had to pull a few friends out. Like we would get all the time. We get a lot of Ukrainians and funny. We would get like they have this program with their schooling and shit to where they would go down there on the beach and they would work like certain jobs they'd have set up for them, and they would stay all in one house together. There'd be like 10 of them, and they'd just be a bunch of students and shit, and we would work with them. Like they'd get jobs with us down there. They'd have to have a job, and it was part of this program they had, and through school. So they would be working with us, and we would always get a new batch of them every summer. They were cheap. Like you could pay a minimum wage, it's fucked up to say, but you know, it was, and they worked hard. They were hard workers. They kept their head down. They never start no shit. They showed up on time. And like we'd always end up getting them by the end of the summer before they went back home. We had corrupted them. Like they come straight edge, never smoked a cigarette, never smoked a joint, never drink a beer, and then they leave and they're party animals.
That's what America do.
Yeah, but there's a few times I've had to pull them out of the water or pull them up on my surfboard and get from like going down because they panic when they get out there. At first, they think it's cool because they got their boogie board and they're just kicking out there, and then that boogie board gets yanked out from them.
Yep. And you're like, oh shit, oh wait, up.
Half the time they're in waist high water. It's just they're just like so they think it's so deep. But
I always like worried. My biggest worry was always I swim the wrong direction. I'm like I'm gonna swim away from land because I can't see it, and then that's where my panic comes in. But like if I have goggles, then I am cool, like because then I can see, and I think that's the biggest thing, not being able to see. I want to see how people keep their eyes open underwater because.
You if it's life or death, you're gonna open your eyes. Salt water don't burn out really. Once you get used to
maybe
it,
I'm not. Yeah, but I say my body's just not used to certain things.
Yeah, salt water. There's like it's so great for you. That's the whole reason I've got the hair that I have is just because it'll knot your hair up so bad. And I surfed so much. Like in the morning, there was like when low tide was, we'd go out and we'd surf because that's when the waves were good. Then I'd like by the time the tide came in, I'd go to work. And usually 1 or 2 o'clock I get off and the tide be heading back out and I could go out and surf again. And if I brushed my hair every goddamn time, my shit I'd be bald. Like I would be bald if I brushed my hair every time. So I just said, fuck it. And it just started knotting up. And that's how me and all my boys were. Like we were those beach bum hippies that you walked by on vacation and seen them on the beach and you were like, hey, can I get some weed? Like that was what my little brother, that was his, like how he made money, because so many people would ask us for weed when we'd be on the beach just hollering at chicks. We just holler at girls all day because we knew if we talked
at the gas station, people like to ask me for coke a lot, which was weird. Yeah. They would go straight to that, especially people from out of town. They were like, do you know? I'm just like, I don't know you. I work at the gas. I'm just here at work. Like, no, I don't.
Damn, like I've never been like, hey man, can I get some of that? Yo,
yeah,
no.
I'm just like, bro, y'all wild.
I'm always expecting it. I would never straight up ask anyone that. Well, why the fuck you think I got it? What, the guy with the?
Like you watch too many movies. I've never seen this one. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear that a lot at shows, like when I do shows and shit, and there's a real hyped crowd. That's a big reason I started writing actual weed jokes. For the longest time, when I started doing comedy, I was like, it's kind of cliche for me to do weed jokes, but they're just like, you need to write them. It's what you know. You really know it. And I was like, all right. And I do some, but I haven't like really polished anything. Nothing has really stuck because I want one to be great. Like I want to be able to go off. But
like, oh yeah, okay.
And I haven't really had anything. None of my comedy take off on like any of the platforms. But TikTok, I've got like a 6 million on views on one video, like 50K followers or something. Nice. But YouTube, I've been working. That one's the hardest.
Man, I was so opposed to getting to TikTok because I'm just like, that was me being old and stubborn. I'm just like,
shit, no. You spit one good video, one good bar, and like your shit go viral, and then the rest of your shit.
I just learned to look at it all as a tool, and I'm still learning how to use them. So I'm just like, you know what, that's a whole different crowd because these people aren't on TikTok, usually on Facebook or on our IG or on YouTube is definitely the
Yeah.
hardest one. But yeah, I'm
Gotta learn how to
learning all that stuff.
monetize. Like,
I mean, it's like this is what it takes, and this is what you're gonna have to do. If this is what you're doing,
I'm
then
horrible with social media though. Like I
I'm
don't use Instagram at all. Like I miss so many messages from like
I noticed.
and I got one. It's just like I don't understand. What is it? Just pictures? Is this all it is pictures?
Right now, I think it's real. It's like they just try to switch up the algorithm and stuff.
See, I'm into information. Like I want the not like data. Like I'm a scientist, but like information. I want it like to be. I guess I like reading and not just read, just someone reading actual information to me. Like when I was a kid, I hated history. You know, like I'd see my dad was watching like a documentary. I'd be getting home from school. I'm like, what are you watching? And it's like the biography of fucking World War II and Hitler.
Yeah, like
was
history,
like,
I would go to sleep always.
And I'd be like, man, this fucking sucks. Now I'm like just sitting there with my bong and shit. Like someone comes in, shh, fucking documentary of Einstein's on, bro. Shut up. And like some of that shit is so interesting. And then the fact that a lot of the shit that they didn't teach us that we learned today.
All the
like,
stuff.
Like it's crazy. Like
so much.
I learned like a lot of the history. Like I like.
I've learned from comics, honestly.
Yeah.
I learned most of my like history that I know now from stand-up comics, which is pretty fucked up. But
yeah, there's a lot of that's one great thing about it because you got to use everything.
Yeah,
but
you
like,
get to use it all.
But like I felt the whole like critical race theory and like people like talking about erasing the past. I was like, wait a minute. So, because I was like, wait a minute, are y'all talking about like not teaching about the natives and what happened to the slaves and everything like that in the African triangle trade and everything? You talking about like just not teaching that? And they're like, no, we're not talking about not teaching it. I was like, well, what do you think they're not going to realize? Like once they learn what genocide means, and then they're like, oh, you did this to the natives? And then my ancestors did this to the Africans. Well, that's genocide. So the foundation we're built on is. I was like, there was no theory. It's facts. It's what happened. But I didn't. I had this real different opinion than all the let's say the other white kids and people because I grew up in a black family, so I heard about the truth and what's been passed down and down. Like my stepdad was like I knew by the time I was 5, I knew I was the white devil. All right, like and I had no rhythm. I might shoot up a school, and I didn't like seasoned food. But I learned a lot of shit that they didn't teach in school. I remember arguing with history teachers and shit like, nah. It's a lot worse than that, bro. Like, when's the last time you watched Roots? It's like, you can't watch it, can you? Can't sit through it. Like, when I first saw that, like, I seen it as a little kid, like, because it would come on TV or my pops would play it once. It was like once a year kind of movie that they had on in the color purple. And it's like, you just, like, once I realized it all clicked, and it was like 6th grade, I was like, oh, shit. Like, when I really realized, it's like, this... Like put it all together because I don't think you're thinking about it as a little kid like, oh, this was grandpa, oh. And I remember having that conversation with my pops before because he just passed away like a month ago. And I remember before a few months ago I asked him, I was like, on my actual ancestors, my grandfather, my biological ones, it's like we don't have much to be proud of right now. Like we don't have heritage or culture. I was like, what do we get to be like? What do I can't take pride in any of what we've done. He's like, you don't need to take pride in that. He's like, but take pride in the other generation that's changing it, that's gonna change it. He's like, just think about your mother and me. Like, my family wouldn't even let him sleep in the house when we go back there for family reunions. It was like nuts to me. It blew my mind. Like, wait, what? Because I grew up with him. I don't remember anything, but he was my biological dad's gay, and like he lives in Carolina and does his thing with his husband, which is cool. We're all cool. Yeah. Like we get along. We're best friends too. Like, but Mitch, my stepdad, he was he would whoop my fucking ass. My real dad had one arm and is littler than me, so it's like I ain't scared of you, but this motherfucker would beat my ass. So that's the one I really, really respected as that, and I don't know. He broke it down for me in a good way because I was really fucked up because the way. Because you couldn't go nowhere without being looked at bad. Like I got cussed out at a gas station one time for holding the door for a lady, And I was just like, she was just having a bad day. I get that. But like she just immediately went to the race thing. White motherfucker this. But luckily there was this cute little sister I was flirting with at the gas station line, and she stepped up. And I don't know if they scrapped because I got in my car and left quick. I was like, I'm not gonna get beat up by a chick today. Like I'm getting out of here. I don't want you don't want to see me being slung around by my hair in the fucking parking lot.
because you can't win.
No, you can't. Well, and then if you do, it's like you're not.
You still lose.
Yeah, because it's equality. So but like, where's the equality stop? Like right before I punch her teeth down her throat.
It depends on the offense, I think.
Yeah. What was there? There was a video going around a while. This couple.
I don't
this.
condone punch, but no,
Yeah,
but I mean, that some people, I mean, people. We should be
You shouldn't
applauded on our restraint as people sometimes because. That I don't condone violence, but some people do need to be punched in the face. I do agree with that wholeheartedly. But so,
anytime I got hit or something like that happened to me, my parents weren't pissed off at somebody. They asked me first, "What did you do?" That was always, "What did you do?"
How did you make this happen?
That's the difference today, I think, and today and back then, like when we were growing up. How old are you?
35.
Okay, yeah, we're about the same age. When us growing up. That's how it was. What did you do? Today, their kids is like, what did they do to my child? Fuck that. Like, you know your little child's a badass little motherfucker.
And it's, some people, it's like the way the world works is so weird because it's like the ones who want kids and probably should have kids, don't get them.
Yeah.
Can't. And the ones who like really don't need to reproduce or out here just building armies. And it's just like,
yeah, I figured it would be super easy for me and my wife. So like we started, she stopped taking birth control and shit like that. We haven't, and I just figured as soon as she stopped taking that, I was like, well, she's got a baby in her. That's how I thought it was. And it's not like that at all. And we're at that time that was like we're financially stable enough to, and we've got a place now that we're not that's big enough for them. So. And I guess we're just waiting on her oven to be ready. I guess I don't know, or my swimmers to swim a little harder, maybe cut back on the weed a little bit.
This the Mountain Dew. Apparently, that does something to it.
Really,
that could be it.
Yeah, I need it. That's a big thing. I want to quit smoking cigarettes and drinking so much soda.
Yes, I've been working on quitting the smoking the cigarettes. The drinking I do well. Like I just mostly, honestly, I drink at work because it's easy and it's delicious and I love it.
Oh yeah, it's good shit.
The cigarettes, I've been quitting. I quit buying them. I will say that I've quit buying them, but I have not quit smoking them. So I'm getting there.
Yeah, I haven't quit buying. If I quit buying cigarettes, man, I'd be able to buy so many drugs.
Out of the realm of other people, because man, I can only have this self-control or the discipline, I guess, so long. But working on that,
a real thing.
I know, but I'm doing better. I will say I have not had a cigarette in about a week almost.
Oh shit!
So
you've broken the seal.
I know, because I do that, and then it'd be.
And then Sunday, Tuesday come around.
No, I don't want to rat out like my roommate, but like she still smokes, and so it's like sometimes it's one of those nights. I come home from work and I drink, and then it's there, and I'm just like.
I tried Chantix, I think it was called. This pill that they got out.
Yeah.
That shit threw me for a fucking loop.
I heard that.
I never heard of like depression. I always thought it was like depression. What the fuck is that? No, you just being lazy. Get the fuck out of bed. No, like. And I didn't go to like just lay in bed, but that's all I wanted to do. But I remember just taking my fucking tool belt off at work one day on the second floor building this house. And I was like, fuck this, fuck everything. I'm out. And I'm like, about to cry and shit. I just got in my car and went home. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I need to wake up, you little bitch. But I just wanted to go home and lay in my bed. And it was that shit. I learned the side effects of that Chantix.
Yeah, no side effects.
It had me depressed. And I'm not good depressed because I'm think of myself as a bitch. So I'm like... So I get angry to overcome the non-motivation, the non-dopamine. That's not like, because I looked all into it. There's like, you get a lack of like all the good shit that your brain produces that you'd have to spend good money on drugs to get without like all the serotonin and the dopamines and all that shit that goes through that's released. And I got ADHD, so I already have big swings of that like So when I was like, oh shit, depression might be real.
Man, I seen that in the black household. It was something that you never really heard. Like I saw commercials for things, but it was usually like herpes or depression. those the infomercials and things. And like, but it never stuck with me that depression was the thing. I never really read it.
Oh shit, I heard that all the time. But
and
from
yeah,
my
it
pops,
is a thing.
like,
It's just like
you smile, you're white. Why you sad? It's like I don't
just
get
like,
it.
You just deal with stuff like you just. Well, I just assumed like things was the norm if this was my environment. That's why I also going to Cali and getting out, like, because yeah, I just assumed everybody lived with their mom or their grandma. I assumed people pops just, was always by themselves, like, because that's just how it was with everybody I knew. So with my pops actually being like the only one in my generation was around, it's like, for me, I'm definitely grateful that he was there because now. I used to hear about it, but not really see about it. Because I was really detached with a lot of things growing up. Like, I just feel like I was just floating mostly, like, figuring out, doing what I saw.
Super introvert, would you call it? Yeah,
definitely super introverted. Like, even now, like, I tell people I don't have social anxiety, but, like, I'm not antisocial. I have trouble being social in social settings. Like, I don't have an issue. Like, it's just sometimes like it's so much going on, like insensitive to all the energies.
Now, if you sat and did this with like how we are tonight, sitting down, actually having a conversation and warming up, and then we went into like, let's say next, walked into like a club or something, or the word up, would you shut back down, or would you already be out of your shell?
I'm already set the mood. Like
that's how I am.
You got to
well.
build it up. Like, and so I can't. If I've been working and moving and doing everything else all day, I'm already mentally drained. So like. I gotta recharge, like, and it's the thing. And so like when I get out there
every morning, I gotta walk into a client and talk to a client. I'm like, just sit in my car, like shit. I'll text them sometimes, like I gotta do some paperwork. I'll be in 5 minutes. Like I'm here. I'm in your driveway. Just wait.
I hate making phone calls. Man, I've been learning. I've been getting better at it, but I don't even know what it is. Even people like.
You get a sense of fucking anxiety when it brings. Like I don't even like.
I'm like I gotta talk to this person. Like I can't see them. They may be making faces. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. Like, but now I'm just like, you know what? I have to talk to people on the phone. And it is easier than texting with some people because I'm like, things get lost in communication now. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just call them, say it real quick, gonna get this done. Damn. But then I don't know, and also learning that balance where like. Because like I said, learning and actually knowing people and then doing the business, like me personally, I'm just super friendly. I feel though, even though like I'm by myself and may come off as standoffish, I'm super friendly if I open up to people. And I feel like I get comfortable real quick and more quickly than people are comfortable with. And so like, because if I'm going to talk to you, then like, I'm here. This is what I'm doing.
Like, I do like it.
I'm like that all or none.
There's sometimes you'll see like certain episodes on these go like 4 hours. Like really, they went for like 4 or 5 hours, and they only are like 2 hours because it took me an hour and a half to get them to like finally just relax and to talk and to open up for something and to let them like actually have a good conversation. Because sometimes like especially. Some of the girls, like I just had Emily Zell on, this newer chick that's on the comedy scene, and like she was real nervous, but by the end of it, you could finally see, like you could see the people's shoulders, like when their shoulders finally stop and they stop sitting like this. But if you watch Jenny Lynn's, the little Jenny Lynn, like, you watch her from the beginning, and at the end of the episode, it's like like I had to cut the last 30 minutes because she was drinking and getting buck wild and shit. And I was like, all right, we've had enough.
See, honestly, I would be probably dancing. Like I can't stand still. Like sometimes usually I stand up a lot. It's hard for me to sit. Like I don't know, because when I'm going. Like, I know, like if I sit down, I get too comfortable. Then I'm like, But I just jump subject because we was talking about the phone calls. But yeah, I don't know. The anxiety I didn't get.
The phone calls, yeah.
But now I've gotten better.
That's one thing I do hate, like when I'm trying to book shows or like shit like that, like booking comics or something. When I'm booking a show, talking to the venue, actually like on
doing
the phone.
Business.
Yeah, it's like fuck. I hate this. Like or bidding a job. I think bidding because I'm so new at it since I've started. I've had my own little.
I think that's what it is. I like presenting myself as a business is what I'm still new as. Like instead of just like because that's what I'm doing to these people. Like I have to.
Yeah,
like, hey,
that's
and it's
and like, and I don't want to be look like, because they already look at me like I'm an idiot because of the
right.
way I
They just
look.
judge you, yeah, when
Yeah,
they
like
see you.
yeah. So I like have to really come correct and know what I'm talking about, and like have to show them like no, like that's why. So and I use like I've learned too, like certain terms like we'll use the water pressure in the ground. I'm not gonna say that to a customer. I'm gonna say hydrostatic pressure releases to the least resistance, which means water goes where
It
down.
can,
Like
yeah.
water goes down. That's what that means. But when they hear that, they're just like, all right, he obviously knows something. Let me hear a little bit more. And I'm like that with the business shit. I was like, so I try to figure out. I don't ever feel like I got enough information on my end, and like they're gonna
Yeah.
try to hustle me. And half the time, actually 80% of the time, customer don't try to haggle me. They're like, oh, that's it. Okay, here's a check. Just charge me whatever. It's like, all
All
right.
right, cool.
But I don't hit them hard. I do have one guy that's like super loaded and he's kind of an asshole. So it's like
Especially
that's a
super loaded.
$50 tax. That's a fee. That's like I'm sorry.
For being an asshole.
Yeah,
I mean, no, yes, an asshole tax. That would keep a lot of people.
like I said, we could start pricing shit the way the government gets to price they shit.
Yeah.
Like the world would be a lot different. Like, excuse me, what did you make a year? Can I see your tax return? Oh, 7 million? Actually, that cheeseburger was $13.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have to put that on the website. We need to invent the asshole tax.
Yeah, but that's the one thing I'm worried about is like taxes. I've been working on my like formalizing my
suck.
EIN and like everything for my LLC, and
Same. Taxes.
I
suck.
just don't know. Like I don't feel like I've kept track. I keep like all my receipts from the jobs and shit from each month, and then I'm gonna have to get a CPA or whatever it's called, which I think they're expensive. But if I keep
Of course
up,
it is. But, I mean, because it's worth it.
yeah, yeah, and I do some like that's what the guy that's the asshole
Talk
that he
about
does.
divorce. Like divorce costs so much because it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't think there are sad divorces because I mean, people who don't want to be together, not being together.
Yeah, I think I'm sure there's relationships out there that end that don't that I don't know. I know of one or two couples that have split and they've still been good friends afterwards. They just grew
And see,
apart.
that's awesome. Though,
Yeah.
that they still maintain that friendship.
Yeah, that's where it's at. But I don't know. Sometimes, you just grow apart, or you
Yeah.
do something stupid. Or they just disagree and can't come to an agreement and can't compromise.
But as long as you can like save the relationship and not have it negative completely, even if it's negative for a while, but you all come around and can savor that relationship, that's definitely the goal. Like, cause I mean, I don't think anybody wants to hate people, so people enjoy hating people, which.
Yeah, that's a learned
Right.
thing. You know,
Right.
like the babies don't.
Cause they don't know. That's taught.
The first person I thought I like hated, like thought a feeling was hate, was probably my sibling, like my older sister for picking on me or something. I thought that was hate, but now you see hate and you look at history and there's only a few real hateful motherfuckers. We call it most of them are all in the government of American politicians. Woodrow Wilson, Nixon, Reagan.
And see, honestly, I felt like I was late to a lot of things. I didn't really recognize the difference between like people, like for black and white and any of that until honestly about middle school, like
Like sixth, seventh grade. That's when it all hit me. I was like,
I was just
oh
like,
shit.
That they noticed that like because I had to go to another school for this program I was in because it was for gifted children, and so I had to go to this other school, and it was Ferguson. Went to Berkeley, but I go to Ferguson, so it was all white from the all black school, and it was like just so different. I'm just like, why don't we have this stuff? Like, what is?
Yeah.
And it was.
I went to all that. We got pulled out when we first moved out here to St. Louis from Virginia with my mom and stepdad. Like we would live down there, and they pulled
Black
us.
Charles used to go too.
Yeah, they pulled me and my sister out of the school because they were like, "We don't think we were the only two white kids. It was like the mid '90s, and like it was a pretty rough area, and they put us in a magnet school somewhere. I don't remember the area, but it was, and like it was. I just remember the bus stop was just like. You heard gunshots at it. My mom was like, "Are you for real?" Like, and there was glass everywhere. And I remember back in the like when I was that real little kid, elementary school, and glass just being every fucking where on the east side. Like, I grew up on the East Coast, like and shit, like New York's and the cities like that. Those East Coast cities, a lot different than.
I went to the East Coast just a couple months ago. For I went to Baltimore and DC.
Baltimore, yeah.
DC was
DC, Baltimore.
disorienting the first time I got there. Everything was so tight. The streets were so small. But I mean, the poetry scene is dope.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Like the energy. I don't even know if it's probably just all the electricity and.
What part of Baltimore?
I don't know, Baltimore. I didn't.
I stayed out there somehow, like when I was living on the beach, when I was like from like 16 to 17. I was like.
I went to a open mic out there too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poetry party. It was super dope.
So yeah, there's much more shit out there for I think that. Like I feel that like the East Coast, I mean they got it all. New York's got it all when it comes to mics and poetry and comedy and all of it. But Baltimore's not far. See, you get a lot of people that do that. It's New York. They'll hit the New York shit scene, then like Jersey, all of that, and they'll hit out and they'll hit like Philadelphia.
Philly.
What else? There's a few more, but DC, Baltimore. There's a few busy little towns on the way there, and then you got Virginia Beach, Far Beach, and everything, and then they would hit down to Florida, which is only like another 13-hour drive. So you can do that whole stretch, get to Florida, go down there, and do like shows all the way down. It's kind of the way I'm thinking about routing my shit.
I still haven't been to Florida yet.
Florida's a lot of people don't realize.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, a lot of people think of Florida and all they think of is movies that they've seen Miami. You know, Florida is like it's backwoods, like with gators. You know,
I heard Florida's wild.
Gators and pythons.
Honestly, and I don't have any interest. I know I'm gonna go there eventually, but like it's just not on my list of places to go.
Just go right into
like,
Miami.
Like
that's that you
so
want
go
to
to
see.
Miami.
Yeah, you
want to
see Miami or West Palm, you know, or you want to go to Epstein's mansion. Whatever you want to do, that's all down there. You got everything. You got gators.
You got Jerry Springer.
You got Jerry Springers out there. You know, you got and then if you really want to, you can get on a raft and try to float into it, get the fuck out of here, out of this country before.
Just wait till you get one coming in. Like,
you're
not
using
this anymore, right? I can just
hey, man, you're going the wrong way.
Like,
hey.
I know what I'm doing.
Like, no, fuck it. Y'all can, you have it.
Oh, they will. There was one comic, he was like, he loved when they say that the South will rise again. It's like, yeah, because Mexico's gonna come take over. And that's the real South, yeah.
Yeah, that's like there's a video of all these protesters talking about immigration, and this Native American comes up with like the long hair, the feather earring and shit, and he's like, "No, you go to fuck home. You weren't welcome here. You came here. You're illegal."
Always.
Yeah, and they all shut up, and this whole protest like disbanded by this one guy pushing a stroller. He's like, "You weren't invited. You came here illegal. That flag represents blood." And like,
I don't know why they're so strong about them. Like, you know,
they like as soon as the native come up, everyone's like, we ain't got shit to
steal.
Just
like America loves stealing shit so much that like that's what they like. Even that was like, look, we stole this, but y'all can't steal from us. Like most things that are American obviously like came from other places, like the hamburger and like nothing is truly American other than. Stealing shit and
only to
shit.
Us is it called conquered. Everywhere else that shit's called stealing. Like we call it what is it? Yeah, we're what do they call it? Colonizer. A colonizer. Like we call it the white man calls it conquered. Everyone else, the rest of the whole world calls it a colonizer. And it's like I get it. Like I've grew up knowing for a long time. Like I said, middle school, it all hit me like, oh shit.
That's why words and language, because it's the colorful language that they use to paint their pictures.
Yeah, but now see, I'm really learning. I look into a lot of like. I think it was all a creation. If you look at the rest of the world, They didn't have a problem with the color. They didn't have this race issue really. Like there was slaves at all colors. Like during when there was, even after the African American was enslaved here, there was still white and black and Spanish and all kinds of slaves in the rest of the world. There's actually more slaves today accounted for in the world than there's ever been in history of man. We have more slaves enslaved today doing slave labor, like slave camps today, like than we've ever had in the history of mankind. Like there's more slaves today, and it's like, hold up.
That's because they all work at Amazon. No,
You're right, though. You're right. You're right. Pissing in bottles and
that's the comedian in me. I'm like, I gotta say it.
But yeah, no, when I learned that fact, I was like, wait, what? For real? And then you look into it, it's like, yeah, there still is. And there was like that all over the world. And there was also like cultures mixed and everything in Europe and the rest of the world. Like, and it wasn't until like us here, we had to, I was like, and I look into it, I'm like, that's class. It's the classism. Like you call it like, yeah, I'm not the guy running around and be like, eat the rich, but we need to regulate these motherfuckers.
Oh, because you just said that made me think of a bar by this other artist named No Name. She's a female MC, and she is.
Man, I wish she would had a name. I'd look her up.
Right, but no, she is definitely like, yeah. She said they made the world anti-black and divided the class, and it's like, because yeah, I mean, we're gonna look up that song and.
Oh yeah, I'm into it. Like, yeah, they think that I really got into that. Like, I think it was all created for manipulation in a way. Like, it's just like when you see it, like the COVID thing
they
too.
They all do everything for manipulation and money. Because that's what.
Yeah, it's like, and then when they say, "Do you really think somebody would do something like that?" The conspiracy part of me comes out, and it's like I know motherfuckers that would do worse shit like for $20. Like, you know what the fuck these dudes are doing for billions? Like come on.
Have you seen the crack epidemic and everything? Like, you didn't.
Dude, they come at me with that shit. Like, not every. It wouldn't be that. I was like, look, I would do some horrible shit for $1 billion, and I know motherfuckers that would do a horrible shit for $20. So don't give me this shit. I've seen motherfuckers do shit for $20. For fucking a rock worth $20, I've seen some horrible shit. And like, money is a motherfucker. It is the reason they call it the root of all. Like, it's greed. And money, like human nature don't mix. Like,
I don't like. How much is enough? Like, I really don't like that we need it to operate the way we do. Like, to depend on like
everything's debt. It's all debt. Like, our money, all the greenbacks that is in your dollars, all dollars are just IOUs to the Federal Reserve Bank, which is a privately owned bank. Like, the Federal Reserve isn't a part of our government at all. They only named it that shit just to trick us, to make people get it. And Woodrow Wilson in 1913 signed that shit into play. And December 24th, when everybody else couldn't veto it because they were at home with their family in 1913, and they didn't have phones and shit like that to rally together, he signed it in, basically illegal, and created the National Federal Reserve, which basically determined we start at zero. Best way to explain it is the government, and now you got this central bank. We don't have no money, and they don't have really any money. But they make a deal with us to say, we're going to make money out of paper, sell it to you, basically. They were going to give it to you at an interest rate. So we're going to give you $1 million. We're on an interest rate of a 10%. That you got to pay back. How the fuck can you pay 10% back if they haven't created it? See, it's all a big debt scam, a big pyramid scheme. They have to create more debt. Every time we take a loan out, there's interest on it. Well, you can't pay the interest alone. Mathematically, it's impossible to pay the interest on our debt right now alone, let alone pay the actual debt off. Like, our taxes don't go to anything but a portion of the debt and the interest rate we owe on that debt, of that money, especially now. They printed off more money in the past 2 years or 3 years than they've ever printed off in history. Like, that's why we're seeing gas prices at this. Don't let that Ukraine and Russia shit fool you. This has been coming.
I always know it's always a bait and switch.
Look, you go on YouTube and look at videos a year ago on economic movies. Like, economic videos from a year ago. Everyone's telling you that shit's coming down. Everyone's telling you it's going to crash. Inflation's coming. And now it's here, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's because of a war." It's like, no, that shit's planned.
In such
like, they're like the World Economic Forum. Look it up. Like, that's we're done. Like everything's like if they didn't want a war, if this whole thing with Russia didn't want to happen, then Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum would tell them to shut it down. But Putin is part of the World Economic Forum, just like Justin Trudeau and just like Biden's whatchamacallit, Biden is, and his what's that dude's name? The gay one that ran
I'm
for
hearing
president.
some of these names for the first time.
Buttigieg?
I'm not really, man. I tell myself I should know more politics, but because I feel like it's all.
I don't care about it as in because I know I see it as in a point of like I watch it and I'm like we can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
We can't do nothing about it. In my opinion, our votes aren't counted. The electoral system proves that. When I learned about that in middle school, I was like, wait a minute. Our electoral system does what now? Like the electoral system does what? So they're not even counted. We're just be like, hey, this is who we want. And then the guy that's getting paid by the guy, whoever pays him the most, he's like, yeah, I'm going to give him to that. It's like, that's not right. Like, because they don't win the popular vote, but they still win the electoral vote. It's like, so our votes aren't counted. Like, that is how it is. Like, and people that try to argue around it are like, you can talk bullshit all you want, but basically, the basics of the information, the black and white is, our votes don't count. They don't get counted. Because if it shows you the popular vote was this, millions of people voted this way, but your electoral vote went this way. And it happens every year. So it's like our votes didn't count then. They weren't counted. And they're like, you lose. And that's like once I've figured it all out, I was like, oh, okay. Like, none of this shit's ours. This house, yeah, the mortgage is in my name and shit. But it ain't mine. They gonna come and take this motherfucker if I don't pay that IRS.
So it's just, in our name.
Yeah, that's a deep rabbit hole to go down. Have you ever been down that one?
The name.
The Stickman, the Form 103 BC or something like that. It's where you claim your name. The Federal Reserve's got an account with you when you're born with your birth certificate and all that.
I've heard pieces of it. Like I've never like
Sovereign
researched
citizen.
it, or like I've heard somebody probably tell it to me twice, but that's twice in like 35 years. So
yeah, supposedly you can get out of all kinds of shit for like court wise because it's not your corporate entity. Like they create it into a false what do they call it? I call it a false you're a straw man. The straw man theory, sovereign citizen conspiracy, whatever they want to call it. But supposedly when you're born, you do the birth certificate and everything, and that's why when you get official mail from the government and shit, doesn't have your name in lower capital letters, uppercase, and then the rest lowercase. It's always all uppercase, right? That's your straw man. That is a fictitious entity that was created when you were born through your birth certificate. Basically, that's how our money is determined and how much we are. That's the supposed
worth.
And then there's like all this other shit to where we basically give unknowing consent for like taxes. Supposedly we don't have to pay taxes and shit like that. But
these loopholes.
Wesley Snipes couldn't fight that shit, and I've seen him in Blade. Like he's badass, and he still got put in jail over his taxes. So I'm not fucking with him. And they just got an $80 billion raise this past year. So they're coming after the little guy. They're not going after the big guy either. Like all these politicians say, we're doing it to get the big ones. And then you ask them, why don't you ever go after the big guys? Well, we don't really have the funding. It's like, why don't we ever have the funding? But where is all this millions of dollars, not even billions? Where are the trillions now?
Our lifestyle, we have to be able to pay enough people off to hide the shit that we're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly and right now it's really getting fucking stacked up high because of the Iraq war, because they ended that shit supposedly, but we still over there bombing the fuck out of them. Like, fuck, we've been dropping bombs like, what is it, like 20 or something a day, every day.
It's interesting. I remember when I was learning, like my first president that I could remember was actually like Bill Clinton or George Bush. Like that was about that.
Bush,
I think
Bush
Clinton,
took over.
I think it was Clinton because he had all the scandals, and it was like
that's what I remember is the scandal.
Eminem was a rap I listened to, and so it was like
And then Bush in 9/11, it was like all Bush there for that 8 years.
And then it was, yeah, because I was like, oh, now everybody's getting 2 terms. I'm like, and I thought that was normal too. I was like, well, he got 2, like he got 2. I guess this is how you do 8 years now. I didn't say it's 4, but apparently.
Yeah. Well, you can win twice, and I think in our original president, like he was smart, George. Well, I mean, he wasn't smart. None of these motherfuckers were that smart, really. None of them had a college education. You know what I'm saying? Like we are running off of a system right now. The reason it's failing because the people that built it on a piece of fucking cloth with a feather. All right, they wrote it on a feather with a feather. Like maybe we should update this motherfucker a little bit. We have computers and shit. We gotta keep up.
We have cyborgs.
Yeah, and stop letting the motherfuckers that are profiting write our laws, and it will fail. Like, one day, if I'm not gonna lie, if I could be a lobbyist, I'd do that job all day long, baby. They get paid to do nothing. They just get their asses kissed by fucking politicians. Like they give them money. They're like, hey, we need you to not pass that law that 90% of the population wants passed, and here's a couple $2 million as a bonus. When you quit your job and don't get reelected, you're gonna come work here. It's called the revolving door, and then they go work there for the lobbyists.
Everybody knows everybody,
and they just keep coming. They go from one lobbying group, and it's just like, God damn. Like Pelosi trading. Have you seen that? Like dude, these motherfuckers on the internet are following because they have to post their trades, like list their stock trades, and Pelosi's husband be trading all the time in her name because he can, I guess, or something like that. Well, these fucking kids basically started just following the trades, copying her trades. Killing it, she's a fucking whale, as they call it. Like anything because what she does is, like, let's say Microsoft and IBM are up for a contract to something to do with, which is worth billions of dollars of contract in the government. Well, she knows who's going to win and who they're going to give it to, and 2 days before they decide who gets the contract, she's buying stocks and options in that company, and it's like, like that's insider trading all day long. Yeah. It is, and that's the definition. Martha Stewart went to jail for less. All right, all she did was take her money out. Someone's like, "Bitch, that shit's gonna crash," and she said, "Let me pump the brakes because this is a brand new car." All right, that's all she fucking did.
Yeah, but I do know that is illegal.
Yeah, but not for Congress. And if they do get caught doing it, or they forget to post their trade, it's a $200 fine, which they've never enforced. Illegal.
It's just it's a fee. It's never illegal when you got money. It's a fee. Just,
that's what I don't get either. When they do make these big, huge busts on these billionaires, where's the money go? You never got funding, but you find these motherfuckers hundreds of millions of dollars. The pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer alone's been like in the billions. Where is that billions of dollars? Shouldn't that go towards, the hurt victims and like,
shelter. Man, yeah, the homeless.
But they never get it. Like Epstein's people, all them victims, they're still fighting to this day for some money, for all that shit they went through, and he's just basically had it set up to where his money disappeared into like different accounts and all of his shit. So they're having to like go through they'll never get it, but those girls will be dead before they finally in the court decides.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know much about it, but yeah, like,
dude, that shit's crazy.
I do remember when the whole Epstein stuff popped off though, but
like he's got videos and videos of fucking politicians,
everybody,
like anybody that's anybody, like Chris Tucker was on that motherfucker's list, dog. Like
yeah, and the picture of Bill and all that. Yeah,
like he's got some shit.
He is.
Like, I don't even think he's dead. That's how far I go with it. Like they say, like they didn't show me no pictures. They didn't show me where's the video footage of him being rushed into the hospital where they supposedly worked on him for 20 minutes trying to revive him. Like where's the video of him coming in and being pushed into the hospital room in the hospital? No, they give you this weird imagey. It looks like someone trying to take a video of a UFO picture of a gray head. Like that ain't no. I want to see. He's in Israel right now, fucking kicking it with his boys, or Saudi, whichever one it came from.
Because, you know.
Oh, Ghislaine, no, they do got her ass in lockdown. But the other guy, his partner, the guy that used to own and run the agency for Victoria's Secret, all the models and shit, Jean Vaucledu or whatever, he got arrested and just this couple weeks ago hung himself in jail. Like his partner, Epstein's partner, that's what he got arrested for in France or whatever, gets put in jail, is on suicide watch, no cameras or anything on his shit. And then he
I don't know why they expect people to believe like these people, wealthy people who killed them. Like
at this point, I'm just like really?
Right.
Nobody's going to be like, all right. Like, and it's like, no, not even any of no one. No one. Like, it just shows you this no spine. We have no spine. If I was a politician, I don't care if I'm on the financial committee. If I heard that shit, I'd still be blowing whistles. I'd be like, oh, whose department is this in? And where the fuck are they at? like that shit heads should have rolled. Should have rolled for that fucking Epstein shit and what they did. And like, the news channel covered for it and killed the story that Amy Robach reported, like, the anchor on ABC, she got caught on the hot mics like, I've had this story for over a year, but they wouldn't let me do it. They kept killing it, saying it wasn't important. And I had videos and confessions, all kinds of stuff with Bill Clinton, all kinds of shit. And she's like, they would spike the story every time. And instead of like getting in trouble, the girl got fired. She didn't even know she was being recorded. One of the sound engineers on the studio fucking hit her mic and she didn't know the mic was on. Then they released that fucking recording.
I know they did.
Yeah. So ABC for years was covering for him, or NBC, one of them. CNN was covering for him. Fox covering. It's like, holy shit. Like when it's deep. Like it goes deep. Like the FBI director of Trump's administration, Bill Barr, the guy that was supposed to be running all the investigations, was like his brother, was like Epstein's brother. His dad basically took what Epstein under his arm, under his shoulder, got him the job that he originally got into the financial industry with at the Dalton High School college for girls or whatever, prep college for girls. And then he met some people on Wall Street because he was the math teacher for these girls, these really rich girls. Mm-hmm. And one of the parents came in, really liked Epstein because he was like a real good talker, and got him a job at like some big, huge hedge fund on Wall Street. He played them, like suckered them out of a bunch of money, got enough money. Dude, like he was given a fucking big, one of the largest mansions in New York. Like New York City downtown, like this huge Playboy, like thousands of square foot of like in multiple floors. Big, huge doors that you see Prince Andrew peeking out of and shit with little girls leaving. It's like given to him, basically, for free. Like he was fucking, he was blackmailing and all kinds of shit. And it was rigged up with cameras, hidden cameras everywhere, right? In all the rooms and all kinds of shit. It was like a honeypot. He'd get all these fucking famous people and everything in there and be able to manipulate and pull the strings. And like supposedly he's an intelligence agent or whatever, because that's what the court said when he first got popped doing it. He got charged for soliciting a prostitution, but you can't have sex and consent to it as a minor. And it was with a minor he got caught with. So they like made a new law and sentence for him a year. Didn't even have to stay in jail for that year. Got to go home and work. And then only had to come and sleep on the weekends, basically. He had to come back and sleep and then stay on the weekends.
I'm going over to jail on the weekend.
And he had his own like office and shit in the jail. Like he had it for a year for rape, little girls. And he got off of it, and then he got popped and supposedly
did he
dead.
get off of it? No.
Yeah. Well, you know, Clintons, they be them Clintons.
Oh man, yeah.
I think those stories are funny.
Oh, that stuff, yeah, man. It's horrible. Like though, like it's man. The fact that that's what they do is just like.
Yeah, but it's just crazy because we're seeing like that conspiracy has been around for so long.
Yeah.
For so long, it's been like Alex Jones and all those crazy conspiracy theorists were like, they're fucking little kids on islands and shit, man. And like fucking, what was his name? Corey, the little boy that was the star that was like Lost Boys and shit like that. Federline, Corey Federline or whatever I think is his name. But he was the kid that was talking about, like, when he got older, was talking about how he was raped. Elijah Blue from Lord of the Rings.
I mean, it was a lot of, like, I remember B2K, like, just kids in general, yeah, like child actors in Disney and all that stuff.
Yeah, like, and everyone's like, no, 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 R. Kelly shit. Like, everybody was like, nah, like, it ain't like that. And now
No, people,
it all happened and came out, and everyone's just like, didn't skip a beat. They just kept going, getting it.
That makes people like kids like that. Like that, I can't even. It's just. It's just.
Yeah. Like, I tried to watch
Like,
this thing on it for like 5 minutes where this college professor was talking about it. Like, they're like had different names for them. Like, well, this isn't a pedophile. Is this someone that's into a pedo, a child, prepubescent? This, and I was like, yo. Under 18, it's a fucking kid, bruh. Like, period. Like, why can't you understand that? Like, don't give them multiple categories if it's puberty, which who knows what age the kid hit puberty. Some hit them at 10, some hit them at 13, some hit it at 15.
Yeah.
Like, a kid is a kid is a kid. Like,
we're very dated. Like, I think about that, like, for us to be as the rest of the country, like, with the way our laws and systems have not been updated. They're very...
Yeah, and then you got those, like, I think we listen to people listen to that Twitter shit too much. I hear that in the news, on the mainstream news. Well, the people on Twitter, who the fuck cares about that dumpster fire fucking porta potty of a goddamn app? Like, no one on there is important. Like, Twitter. I can't. Only time I go on there is just to troll people, like just to fuck with these radical people that get on there that be fighting. Like, I'll get a whole fucking lit like comment section of hundreds of like Biden people and then Trump people, and I'll just get a stir of shit coming about how shitty they both are, and then one to be defending me, and then the other one to come in talking shit, and then they just go at it, and I'll be like, I'll just watch it, and I'm folded like,
like, look what I've started.
Like, you assholes, like, you all are dumb. And that's how it ended. I was like, you guys realize none of them care about us.
I throw some poems up there every so often. I'm just like, for whoever's on Twitter, hopefully they stumble across them. Like, I like this.
Oh yeah. See, that's what the platform is good for. People like that. There's some comics on there that are pretty fucking funny, that are good with like talking about times. I guess I'm kind of into like Tim Dillon, the trolling shit that he does. Like, he's hilarious. Oh man, like, he's one to follow. If you get on Twitter ever, like, and you just want to see some crazy shit,
I'm gonna get a list of people from you after this also.
Yeah. But Tim Dillon's fucking. He's like one of the guys that's been on Joe Rogan a few times and shit. He's hilarious. Like, he's the big up and coming guy right now on the scene, as far as that kind of comic that he just talks real crazy, and he gets away with it because he's a gay guy, but you don't know he's gay. Like, I didn't know he was gay for like the first 2 years of like seeing him and watching any of his shit. And then someone was like, oh, yeah, he's gay. That's his boyfriend. That guy, I thought it was just his producer. I was like, oh, shit, that's cool. Like, no wonder. I was like, I wonder why he hasn't gotten canceled for some of the crazy shit he says. Like, because he goes off the wall. He's like a Sam Kinison, but smarter, not smarter.
See, I've heard that name, too, and that's another one I need to look. Because, see, I feel like same thing with hip-hop and comic. I feel like I grew up in a Christian household, like, my mom, we grew up Christian. We went to church with my mom and my grandma every Sunday. That's just what we did. And I would go to my pops on the weekend, but I always went to church. And like, she listened to gospel music, and so I really only got introduced to other music when like she wasn't in the car and I stayed in the car, or like I went with my pops. So when I got to like 15, 16, and I had my own car, I could listen to the other radio, and that's why I came into like hip hop late, but like I came into like comedy late. But I want to look back at some of the old stuff because I hear people get referenced, and I'm like, I know they learn from them, so I kind of know them through them in a sense. But yeah,
see, that's also where you find a lot of the greatest artists come out of that in the R&B, hip hop, soul music, like that industry of music. You get most of these people that started off all gospel, like they didn't like, that's where the training grounds are. You got the blues, like that's R&B, rhythm and blues. You got the blues, that dirty, dark blues, and then you've got the gospel, which is like, and then once you know them both, which is usually someone like you that grew up in one of those households. That's my grandma. She like. That's one of the colleges churches that did scare me going as a little kid, because she went to one of those ones where that Holy Ghost and all that like they hallelujah.
Yeah, that was a bunch of different type of churches.
Yeah.
I was always wondering why there's so many different denominations in this sector. And
There's so many
it's
segregation.
just like feminism, like that. I was just like, wait, there's like, I thought it's just.
Yeah, you got
rights for
Baptism,
women,
Baptist,
but
Presbyterian. You got all these different kinds of
It's
Christianity.
like,
I'm like,
but can we all just be Christian? If we all can't agree on the type of Christian.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get not bashing about religion or what. Hey, believe what you want. I believe. Hey, if it keeps you from.
yeah, see,
Yeah.
I believe in aliens and shit. So
Right,
who the
so,
fuck am I?
Because I know I believe some shit that like, so hey,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, I just didn't. Why so many? Let's condense this down. Let's get on the same
Or
page.
go back to our oldest story. Like that's what I did. Like, cause I've never been really religious because my grandma, my dad's, my real father's mom, my nana as we'd call her. She I know the kinds of things she said and did, and the kind and stuff like as an older Southern white woman, like. She's used the N-word many a times, probably, like as an old Southern white woman, and then to see what to try to teach me about religion, it's kind of like laughable. And I understood this as a little kid because of my stepdad, the man that I've growing up with, that's raising me and shit. It's like, how can you say that? How can you call my mom's that or me that or something like that and then preach to me like that? Doesn't, you're not even taking your own advice. Like I was like, so that's not real. And I was the type of kid that's like, that's fake.
Like, nope, that doesn't
I was like,
count.
I think you guys just found a bedtime fairy tale and you took it for real. And then so I got into like the one I really got into was the Mesopotamian shit, like that, the ancient Sumerians in that area.
Yes, I want to study religion just to have a better understanding of it. Like, but like, yeah, I'm not.
I hear that there's a lot of good stuff in the Bible, and I believe that there's people that needed it. Like,
yeah,
I know people in my life.
It's been called a children's book for adults. It's like you got the stories, the parables to learn the lessons and show like how you ought to live. And like, so yeah, it's great advice. But like, people want to pick and choose, cherry pick. They want to take what they want.
That's what happened. Like the oldest story ever. The flood is in it. They talk about that and shit. But the ancient Sumerians, which is the right now in our historical records, they're the people that started it all. Like started recording. They created writing first. They first started taking tallies for like herding and when we went from basically hunter gatherers to more civilized, like farming and staying in one place.
And agriculture. And
yeah,
stuff.
instead of following the herds and everything, we stopped and we farmed, and that's like farming and learning how to farm and grow crops is what made us create cities in the long run, because people would gather once we started learning that. And the Sumerians were the first ones. They're the ones that created language. They're the ones that created writing, the first everything. And their story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, it talks about the Great Deluge. It talks about all of this.
I've heard of this.
But it's real crazy. There's a couple different theories and translations that they have out there. One of them being real crazy. And they are talking about stars and planets. This is the oldest fucking first civilization that created writing. This is how old this shit is. How do they know anything about a fucking planet? How do they know what a planet was? Supposedly when Columbus left, they thought he was going to fall off the side of the earth. But these people that were thousands of years older than the fucking Egyptians in the pyramid times, that's thousands of years before the pyramids. How did they know what planets were? How did they know about all this other shit? It's like aliens. That's what they're talking about, dog. Because they don't talk about them as a holy spirit, these beings. They talk about beings.
They talk about physical.
Yeah, and the story is their worker race that they had came here to work, and the ground to get gold is we get it out of the ground. They would get it out of their oceans on their planet. They needed the gold to replenish their atmosphere. And like supposedly they created us. They genetically designed us to be the slave race for gold, and that's why we have such a big fascination with gold. Is we have to mine gold as a slave race for the Anunnaki or whatever they're called, and like blew my mind when I first heard the story. I was like, that makes a lot more sense, you know, because we have a lot of gold and they control the price of gold too. Like they control that. They you have to have permits and shit to like build a gold mine and go mining for gold. If you hit like a deposit of it, like you have to, like the government's all involved with it and shit. So I don't know, like.
I have heard that one too. Yes.
I have dug. I don't got gold in mine. I got some rock.
It's just. I like to think that the mole people in the inner earth.
Dude, have you seen that shit? The cities or the underground shit?
I have not, but
dude, they found this one. I forget where it was at, but they found like thousands of people lived underground for a long, long time before they were like, and they found it. They found like all these caverns and cathedrals and shit built underground. They left. It was a man that was refurbishing his house, and it was down in the basement, tore a wall down, and there's a hole into this entrance that goes like miles into the earth. All these rooms, tunnels, but they got airway systems somehow. And they knew how to get air and oxygen because air, mind blowing.
Man, I'm like, it's so much stuff. Like I do enjoy whatever in space and all that, but I'm like, it's so much in the ground and the ocean and stuff.
Like,
it's just man.
The ocean is scary as fuck. Like what
but,
that's where the aliens are too. Like
I'm like, do you know immortal jellyfish? I mean, that sounds like an alien to me. Like it doesn't die, and it looks like how we usually picture aliens, like all tentacly.
Oh, those jellyfish
and octopus. I do like octopus. It's my favorite animal.
The octopuses
they're so
they
smart.
Can go anywhere.
And they are really they're fascinating.
But the jellyfish, like I don't like them. Like I've been hit before. The worst I ever got hit, I was like,
jellyfish things.
I'd had to hit duck dive. You duck dive waves when you're paddling out past the waves. They're coming like that. And you're swimming out, paddling. And when you get to there, you duck down with your board. You push it up underneath the wave, and you come up, and the wave goes under, and you come up like this. All right, it's called a duck dive. Well, fucking big ass jellyfish and all its tentacles are like in the wave as I'm duck diving. So it just like, it gets me all down here. So like I'm looking like an idiot trying to get a bottle to find a pee in to pour on me and shit.
Thanks. I've never gone far enough. I've always lose a pair of sunglasses every time I go to the beach. Every time. Yeah, but it's like, just leave them. Why you keep wearing them?
I find like cool I used to drive around. My console would have like, I'd buy them like by the handfuls. Like I'd get 10 at a time usually, because at the surf shop they had the little cheap plastic wannabe like Ray-Bans for like $1.50. I just get like 10 of them at a time, and me and the boys would go through them within like a month, and we'd be back at the surf shop eventually.
I did learn that. I bought one like pair like that I splurged for like 15 or like $20. I'm like, and then I lost. I'm like, nope, I'm not about it. And then I'm like, I don't even wear sunglasses. I just
I've like. It's always the cheapest pair. I always hold on for the longest. I'm like, I'm just gonna buy the cheapest pair then. But
I lose clothes. I don't know how, but my clothes like to disappear. And it's only the things I like to wear. Those are the things that they vanish. Like it was this one time. I still don't know what happened. I was out drinking one night, and I didn't feel like going home. So I'm like, I'm gonna just get a room. And so I got a room. Didn't have my overnight bag because I usually have one, but I'm just like, so I got what I wore. I went in the hotel. I remember taking off my shoes, my pants, my shirt, got in bed, went to sleep. I wake up. I can't find my shirt anywhere. My shirt is not in the, like, I looked in the tub, I looked in the closet, in the curtains, under the bed. My shirt's gone. Like,
you go to the front desk. Did I check in with a shirt on?
I'm like, I know. I remember taking everything off. And so I had to check out shirtless, and I'm sure they was looking at me walking through the lobby. I'm just like, I don't fucking know where it went.
I don't know, man.
Somebody must have came in and stole my shirt while I was asleep.
I can't find my shirt, and my ass is sore.
No, I was healthy. I was fine. But yeah, that was the weirdest thing. I'm just like, it literally was nowhere.
Yeah, see, that's so smart to get a room. I know so many motherfuckers that would just drive. They'd be like, man, I would just room getting so smart. Fuck that.
Nope.
See, where I'm from, that shit was an automatic felony, and you did 30 days in jail before they heard your case. Like, in Carolina, first one, felony charge. It don't matter who you are. Your last name could be Biden or Obama, and your ass is doing 30 days in jail and catching a felony charge for DUI. And like, don't do it a second time. And if you get lucky enough to be out and do it a third time, habitual offender, they hit you with a life sentence, 25 years.
Man, see,
like, it's nuts.
That should be like
everywhere.
Yeah, and that's a lot. Because I know people who have like, well, I don't know. I know people who have 7, and I'm just like, and 6. I'm just like, how do you get so many? Like, how do you
can pay them out of your way,
money,
but so they don't get you so far down there. Like, and if you hit and kill somebody, that's all. You get a life sentence. I believe it's like every person in the car is another life sentence, basically. Every person that dies that's in the car, if you're drinking, it's like, yeah, so like you get hit with 3 of them motherfuckers, it's 75 years.
Those ridiculous sentences. It's just like, oh man, like the weed sentence is for like now, and then now we can sell and buy it legally. Well,
yeah.
That, like,
believe me, I was working at Proper. They got too big for me, and like they bitched at me about smoking weed. I was like, hold up, wait a minute. Shut the fuck up. Like, this is a weed facility. Like, I get it. Like, I know there is 4K cameras watching every angle of us, but like, don't think I'm not like gonna hit my little fucking electric pen or something. Like, I'm not out there blazing blunts. Like, I come in get out of my car and I'm fucking exhaling my pen. I don't want to hear a goddamn thing from anybody. If I was at my normal job, I'd be on the goddamn roof setting trusses with a joint hanging out of my mouth or something. So piss off. Like, this ain't shit. I'm sitting here weighing weed out, motherfucker. Like, I should have a blunt in my fucking mouth. Like, that was
like my first one to come, like with the job.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah, for real. They gave us some shit that didn't have any THC in it.
Employees a lot better. Like, they don't, and they wonder why people don't want to do shit. Like, 'cause I don't.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing with the pay. Like, their pay was some bullshit. They were like, I was able to finagle out because I've been growing since I was like 16. Like, I got all them lights over there. I got all kinds of equipment. Like, I've grown dope for a long time. I was never. Once I realized it was like, it's a plant, motherfucker. Like, I can grow this shit. Like, it just grows. Like, 'cause I remember as a kid planting some shit with my grandma and my dad in a garden, and it all grew up. And then I was like, wait a minute, weed is a plant. All these seeds in this shit. I was like, threw it in the ground, and I just started growing it. My dad let me grow it in my room for a little while. Bought me a tent and all this other shit, grow tent, and I started. That's why I got all them books of all kinds of cannabis.
Telescope.
Oh yeah.
Earlier. Nice.
Yeah, the telescope, and then the typewriter. I got those 2 at the thrift store. I gotta get a new ribbon for the typewriter. That was like, I got that for like $10-15. It's like, it goes for like 100 and something. Thrift store, baby. You gotta go check that out.
No, my mom came up on thrifting. They still go thrifting like every weekend. That's what
me and my old lady will sometimes
save money. Like, but hey, cause you find some shit.
Yeah, like last time I went, I got who was it? I got the Gap Band's fucking vinyl. I found that, like, I don't ever find many good vinyls in those fucking the crates that they have at the thrift stores. But every now and again, I've gotten an Allman Brothers Band one, and then I just got the Gap Band the last time I went, which I'm a big. Charlie Wilson's one of my favorite like singers, believe it or not. Like,
I think first time I heard Charlie Wilson was on that "Beautiful" with Pharrell and Snoop Dogg
okay,
song.
yeah.
See,
I was listening to him like growing up. Like, that was one of my pops' favorite bands, was like the Gap Band, and then Earth, Wind and Fire, the Temps. Delphonics, and like, that's the music I grew up on. Like, talent, like actual talent. That's why today it's like, man, what's that?
Yeah,
what
you just gotta ignore it.
Yeah.
You just gotta ignore the noise, because it's all noise, but you gotta find the noise you like, and all the other shit.
Back
you just
then
gotta
was
ignore.
so cool to like that harmonizing shit. I wanna go outside.
Well, people actually
that was like the players back then.
And build tracks. And,
yeah. Like, I remember people like in Virginia.
Just trying to go viral now.
Chris Brown got made fun of in school a lot because he was in the band or in like the choir and all that. He wasn't the cool kid before he got big. And I remember partying at high schools with the school that he went to and shit with kids, and they were talking shit about him, like he was a nerd, this and that, like in choir and like all that other stuff. And I was like, well, yeah, motherfucker, like. Who do you think that, like, look at him now? He's on a track with, he got Lil Wayne on his track. You know that's going platinum. Like, you know it's going platinum. And he was supposed to be a big nerd and shit, and that's how we treat him today. But back in the day, like my pops' time and my uncle and shit, when they were like the singing boy band group, or like, you know, that was the
Temptations and all that,
at school.
5 Heartbeats.
5 Heartbeats probably one of my favorite movies.
I haven't seen all the way
Besides
through.
Rebound, that was like one of those other ones that really. You haven't seen the 5 Heartbeats?
All the way through. I know, man. Like, I know, man. It's a lot of black movies. Like, it's a lot of movies. If I told you I hadn't seen that, people look at me like, what? Like, I mean, I've seen pieces of it, and I've seen pieces of the Temptation. So honestly, I don't know which pieces are from which. It's that bad.
Yeah, that's.
I've also, as we was talking about earlier, I've never seen Roots. I've seen pieces.
The Roots is a fucked up one, and it's not like it's not an entertaining one. It's
I
just
think,
like
at this point,
it makes you mad.
I feel like at this point I've seen so many slave movies that like I get it. I don't need to go back.
Well,
and
no,
watch
you
that
just
one.
understand where the Toby jokes come from.
I mean, I kind of put two and two together with
yeah.
stuff. Certain things I'm good at context with putting because I can think. But I mean, I understand some people need it.
Oh no, I've had girlfriends and shit. They'd be like, "What is that? What does that mean? Who's Toby?" I was like, "Yo, shut up! Like, stop! Don't say nothing else." Like, no, who's Toby? Like, no, stop! Like, don't say nothing else. I'll explain it later.
Some people
don't
need
say
to spell
that
out,
shit.
and they just like, yeah.
And then you realize, I've realized that's like that. I think dating is what made me realize. I was like, oh shit, there is like an all-white household. There's a lot of things that they don't learn. We don't learn
Because they're not exposed to it.
They're not exposed to it. Just like, I'm pretty sure that you didn't go out duck hunting or learn, like that wasn't a necessity to go out and learn for most kids that live in the city and shit. But my pops and shit, with me growing up, they wanted me to have a gun. I had a gun at like 10 years old. I got my first shotgun and had to learn how to shoot and all that dumb shit. And it was just like, I'm sure you didn't learn that as a kid growing up in like a city, like New York. Not many of those kids in a white family and shit are gonna go out there and do it. And I was like, that's all it is placement. And I was like, because all the brothers that live out here in the country, they go duck hunting and shit, and like people, it's just like
location and environment. That's what it is. And
you know what it's making it so crazy right now? Why everyone's going so crazy is I think the older white man that runs the actual country that are dying off, the elite ones, they're starting to realize, man, this shit ain't gonna be white for but so much longer.
I was just talking about that this morning at brunch. Like I'm like, I feel like that is part of like this underlying fear that we realize that like we can't reproduce quick enough, and with the rate that if anything you mix with is gonna be white. So like eventually, it's all this is gonna be
I have a
more
whole bit
brown,
about that.
and people. And I'm just like, just let it happen. I mean, they was like, oh, I had a conversation with a friend, was like, the racism and stuff is never gonna die. I'm just like.
Bullshit.
I mean,
we'll all be one color one day if we don't kill ourselves.
It's gonna have to die out, and that's unfortunately it's just gonna take time. And
science statistically, it says we will all be eventually, because the way we mix, we will all be one race eventually if we don't nuke ourselves to death. Or an asteroid or something hits us, eventually we will. And I do a whole bit about it. I was like, let's just speed up science. We outlaw any more purebred babies. I was like, I'll be the first to offer, like, give up. I was like, but listen, sisters, y'all gonna have to give up a few inches, all right? All right, depth and width. You're just gonna have to give up some. I'm sorry, you gotta take the brunt of this. And
see, I went to hair when you said inches. I'm like, off the hair.
Y'all are just gonna have to learn that. But look, one generation, no more purebreds. We can get rid of racism, police brutality, and unseasoned food.
Do you listen to Chad Daniels?
Chad Daniels.
He's that's a comic.
That sounds really familiar as fuck.
I feel like you definitely fuck with him. But yeah, he was saying when it's like, like white women hate white men, but it was like, you're the only one who can make us. Like literally, you are the only person who can make white men. So just stop for like 3 generations, and you don't have to wear white men anymore.
We can get rid of mass school shootings and shit. I did that one, and then like not too long ago in the news, there was this kid that was getting bullied and picked on, this little black kid, and he took his gun to school and shot up like 4 people, and then he made bail like that night. I was like, if that ain't some cultural appropriation shit, like he shot up a school and made bail, like come on, like that's That's white people shit there. And
Like I saw a TikTok on that, but it was a brother sister thing. It's like,
oh yeah, I duetted. That shit was so funny. He's like, "Oh come on, the brother shit. That's our thing." That girl in that country twang is like, "You might have fucked your brother."
and I'm like, and see, that's like nowadays. I'm like, what's? I can't even tell what's serious. I get so into snip, and I'm like, yeah, she was probably serious when she made that TikTok.
Yo,
she was really upset.
I,
She was
I,
big
I,
mad.
I sent that shit to my boy Antonio, like that. Like I always when I do jokes that are on that line of any time of racial or stuff, like I used to ask my pops, but his big problem was he punched it up to a level I can't say. I'm like, just say this. I'm like, nah.
See, I want to be a punch-up guy for somebody. I'm gonna find a comic who.
That's what a lot of the greats do. Like Kevin Hart, he's got a team of guys, his friends that he just like they helps him. Dave Chappelle is someone like that. A lot of
like,
comedians do that right together.
Neil Brennan, was big with Dave Chappelle. Cause I want to write. I write some whole jokes, but I feel like I don't have the time to dedicate to actually like writing whole bits like I want to. But I could definitely.
I used to
assist
try to
somebody.
write it in like perfection, but I learned that the only way to really polish it and perfect it is up there on the stage in front of somebody.
That's
like,
the only practice, really, man. That's,
but like then I would ask my boy like that hogging joke I do where I'm like the frat dudes made a whole new sport about picking up fat chicks and they call it hogging. They got like a point system and fouls. I was like, it's a whole sport and and it's fucked up. I'm pissed. Like they made a whole other sport the brothers are gonna beat us at. And
I remember
I was like, my boy,
yeah.
like he helped me write that one. I was like, Antonio, he's like, just make sure you specify, like really specify that we're better than y'all at everything. And I was like, all right, yeah, I give you that. I grew up in a predominantly black household. You all are. Like, everything. It didn't even matter. My lazy ass cousin didn't do nothing, sleep on the couch all fucking day. I practiced basketball every day of my life for fucking 15 years. He'd still just come out there and beat me one hand tied behind his back. It didn't matter what it was. They're just physically smart.
I mean, because we was bred literally to be the biggest and strongest,
fastest, biggest, strongest,
and then it's like Bill Burr's like, yeah, you accidentally like created the super race, like do all this, like you did it on accident, but it's and like how the whole hogging thing, I've heard of that so many things, and I got this through like a lot of shit was born out of boredom, like white boredom, like because if they had slaves and things, what was the kids doing? They was finding the animals to torture and stuff. Like it was just people get bored and then they create things, and then like found Urban Dictionary. I'm just like, is this shit real? But people get bored and they just make things. Get enough people behind it and then it's real.
Oh yeah. There's a whole flat Earth society now. Right? You put enough out there, bullshit, and somebody's gonna believe it. Like we have cults. Those cults that had to kill themselves over literally a doomsday apocalyptic cults, drink Kool-Aid and all kill themselves. Like how? I don't care. None of them religions sound good to me. Like
nothing. No, religion makes me want to kill myself.
Like none of it. I was like, that doesn't sound like a loving God to me. Like I guess Hinduism, that one's pretty peaceful, right? They're like vegetarians.
I'm not sure. I don't know much about. Like I said,
but I know Christianity is far from the good one.
I say, like my knowledge on other religions are limited. I know Christianity because I grew up in it.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest one to relate to. Anytime
I question them on that one, they're like, well, what about the Crusades? That's all I bring up. I was like, you do know statistical facts says that more men, women, and children have been killed under the faith of Christianity because of Christianity, like in the name of Christians gods, than all men and women on earth in all political wars combined. And he hit them with that, and they're like, those weren't real Christians. I was like, it's never real Christians. Have you ever heard that? They're like, those aren't real Christians. And I'm like, all right then. I bet you they thought they were real Christians as they were fucking pillaging and shit.
No, it was like the Civil War reenactment.
Destination, isn't that what they call it? Manifestation or something.
Manifest destiny.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, it's crazy. Like, I think that's the big problem too. Is like the internet and older people, like the boomers, have figured out the internet finally.
I mean, yeah,
they
finally
finally have figured out how to reset it themselves, and so now they don't have to wait 4 or 5 days to read actually history, and they're reading it all, and they're like, hold up, we did that. Oh no, I don't want my kid knowing that. Like,
man,
it's like, yeah, you feel bad, don't you?
Man, I remember, I got attacked by like a friend's like relatives who I'd never. It was on Facebook. I'm just like that. They was like 20 years older, and she just out of blue just started going through my page, snooping and stuff, and I'm attacking me. I'm just like, how bored, or like, what do you
troll?
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, oh, so you're old and you found out you can say what you want on the internet and do stuff and provoke people.
And then they find out you can't say what you want because they cancel
like,
culture's a bitch.
Weird.
Yeah, but that was the one thing I think the internet, the boomers, like, it's because we grew up with it pretty much. Like, I didn't have one in my household until I was like a teenager, so I don't get it as well as like my old lady. She had like AOL, like I didn't have all that. She did.
MySpace is why I started. Like most people had those Yahoo Messenger, but those was the promiscuous ones.
I had a fucking the MySpace, but it was years before I got one. Like Facebook was already out, and I just held out off of Facebook for the longest time. And then like recently, just in the past 5 years, I got, the only reason I did was because of fucking comedy to sign up for money.
You gotta be out here for business and promoting. Because I also talk to my family. I've gotten close to my family. We're closer.
I've always said it's made to piss people off. I was like, no, it's created. Like, that is what it's made for. I've said that so many years ago when I first got on it and then deleted it. Like, after a while, I was like, no, that shit was making me mad. At first, it was just dumb fart jokes and, like, funny videos. And then all of a sudden, like, every 4 years, it starts getting all crazy and real hateful. And then they realize, oh, shit, the activity is much higher when they're like mad and debating.
People love to hate stuff. They don't know what it is. I guess it's some bone there. Like, people are quick to like, ooh, you gonna hate this with me because I hate this. Like, I would rather people tell me the things they love and enjoy, but like, people are quick to tell you when they hate something. And
I can't stand that motherfucker.
I'm just like, but I say I am finna get ready to leave here soon. I got
But one thing,
pick up my roommate at. As long as I'm about 7:30, I gotta pick up.
Yeah. What time is it?
It's like 7:12.
Oh shit! I didn't even realize it was running that long. All
right,
what's your best piece of advice for somebody wanting to get into to performing? What was yours? What helped you? What made it click for you? Like, what was it? All of a sudden, you was just like, "This is what I want to perform, and like I can do it. I'm going to do it."
Just knowing that I had to. Like, my options was running slim at the time, and I had tried everything else, and I'm just like, I realized that, writing is what I love, and this is what I want to do. So I'm like, all right, where I'm at right now, like, I have to figure out how to make this work. So I don't know how or where to start. So I'm like, open mics. I got to go to the open mics, and pretty much the journey, that's pretty much where it started. Me going out there, networking, practicing, and realizing that, like, okay, I got to learn to enunciate. I got to learn to all these new skills, but I'm like, this is the only way to do it. Like I said, getting up there, you can read all the books, watch all the plays, but actually, you got to get up, you got out there and fucking do it. So you got to do it.
And you speaking of networking, where can they find you? Instagram, Twitter?
You can find me on IG at 47_Blakk. That's BLAKK_74. Blakk, BLAKK on Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, like, this is.
Oh yeah, you come on anytime. You got a show that you want to promote or something like that.
Promote Word Up.
Every Tuesday. Every episode I bring them up for sure.
Also check out Lyrical Therapy. They have their open mic every first Friday now, I believe. I also believe it's Black Choi's birthday today. I could be wrong.
Tomorrow.
I think
I've already got a message tomorrow.
I saw something on Facebook. Man,
this will be after. This will post after.
Well,
so we can talk about it already.
Yeah. So pre-happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to him. I got to get him in here eventually too.
Oh, my book, Quarantine Chronicles. I'm got to get used to that. My book, Quarantine Chronicles, is out. So check that out. Definitely support that. It's a good project. It's dope.
Where's it
I'm
at?
super proud of it. You can find it on Amazon. The link is in my bio on both of those pages, or you can, just.
I'll get you to, if you send me a link when you get home and everything, just send me your linkage of like whatever you like.